Hey everybody, this is AJ Morris again, bringing you another Gutenberg block collection plugin review. This time we are going to be looking at Kadence blocks or KadenceWP.com. We're going to be looking at the free version, but note that the difference between free and pro is really just a few more premium blocks and some on-scroll animation, and of course you get support and updates for those for 1 year. So we're just going to dive right in. Now, KadenceWP is one of my favorite plugins, especially a block collection plugin, one that we actually gave away back in December during the 12 days of giving contest that we were running back then. So you should be somewhat familiar with it if you've been following along iThemes for a while. However, if you're not, and this is your first view or first insight into Kadence blocks, it should be a good one. So let's go in here, and you can see I've got under installed plugins, I've got Kadence blocks. So I am using the free version. I'm not using the pro version, although I do have it, and I do believe that the pro version is worth the money. But let's go ahead and create a new page and just kind of show you what you can do with Kadence. So Kadence blocks, I like that it shows up here as the second option, or really the first option under most used, even above common blocks, because when I'm looking at putting this over to a client, if I'm going to build a site using Kadence, I want my client to be able to see exactly what blocks they should be using and where. So I like that about this. You can use the row layout, and this is very similar to other block collection plugins that we've already been reviewing. So you've got the option to do 1 column, 2 column, 3 column with some options, 4 column with some options, 5 and 6 columns as well. And they do have a pre-built library. Now, one thing you'll notice about the pre-built library is there are a ton of sections or modules or rows, whatever you want to call them, to help build a beautiful looking website. I like block collection plugins that do this. For example, if I wanted to take this one here, I've got buttons, and I've got 2 of them, but I could add a third if I wanted really quickly. So you can see that. I could change the background image as well. I could put a video in, which is kind of fun. So you could use a video or a slider, or you could use a background. You could also change the overlay. So if you don't want, say the blue that they have, maybe you want like a black and another black. You've got that option here, and you can kind of get it to be where you want. You could also just go to something completely different if you wanted a green, for example. So you've got a lot of options here when it comes to your overlay settings. You can also add in more blocks into this designed row. So you could say, hey, you know what, I need a paragraph right here. Let me click back in there. Let me just start typing some words. Okay, so you can see it's in black right now. Let me go ahead and change the color to white. Actually, let me change the text color to white, and there you go. If you want to put it in center, though, you can do that, and that's how it works, right? And you can even do something with the divider here at the bottom. So you'll see that we've got this like arrow, this double arrow here, but you could do an upwards arrow, a double up arrow, right? You've got some swirl options here. You've got some waves. You even have more waves. You even have like these mountainous looking piece here. And when you're in here, you even have some size control, so you can really get some height on the like divider to really help go through and really customize it to be your own. If you wanted to add some spacing, you could add some more spacing between that and the buttons right there as well. You can add some more space at the top. You can shrink it up. This is one thing I like about Kadence is if you hover in the right spot, you'll see that you've got that margin option to move up and down. You don't always have to drive your mouse over to the right to the settings to do that. You can do that here, but I can also do it right here inside, and you'll see it change. So I like that feature that they give you multiple places to do things. If you want to add another pre-built layout, you could do that. So here's another one. Maybe we give that one a little bit more. If we preview this, you'll see we've already changed that to green. We've got some, maybe we want to give this a little bit more padding here, and then we've got everything that we want to build right here. So we'll get some more padding there. When we preview it, you'll see that it added some more padding. I don't like the bottom piece on this, so let's go back to dividers. You'll see that divider right here. Maybe I want to do something like maybe I want to do something like that. That kind of looks cool. Or maybe just kind of the waves. The waves look pretty good. I like that. You can always change the color too. So if you wanted to do like a darker color or one of your colors you've selected, you could do that. You can add another row layout. We'll go to pre-built library, see what we can do. But maybe adding this. You change the background on this to be that same color so it all matches and flows. And now when you preview, you'll see we start at that green. And you've got some beautiful colors. There's some padding issue here. For some reason. We'll go ahead and look. So margin is there, but we'll go to padding at 0, and we'll just make sure margin on the other one is 0. And that should hopefully help clear that up. So looks like there's something here. It could also be a theme piece. Not sure. Yeah, it looks like there's some settings inside of the inside the 2020 theme that are causing some issues there, but here you go, you can kind of see I fixed that right there. So you will see some weird settings with themes. Sometimes the theme doesn't always work to the best of your ability, especially when you're using block collection plugins. So one thing to look at is look at KadenceWP and check out some of the themes that KadenceWP has. My gut tells me these themes would give you some ability to kind of work a little bit better with the block collection plugin. So there is that. The last thing I want to show you, and this is probably my favorite feature of Kadence, is if you're going to use a block collection plugin and hand over your site to a client, one thing that you want to do is really be able to limit them. You don't want to have like this paragraph text. The typography is not necessarily the same as what you've got in some of these other options. And so what you really want to do is you want to make that part of your theme, but when you can't make it part of your theme, you also want to make it part of your block collection. And so KadenceWP allows you to go in and change all the controls that all their blocks use. So you can set up your own color palette, which is really great for using and putting in your own color scheme or your client's branded color scheme. You can go in and say, hey, I only want to use Kadence block colors, and so you got to set those all up right here. Otherwise, if you undo that, you would get your old ones back. But then if you go down here to editor block defaults, you've got all of the blocks. These are all the free blocks that come with it. So you could go into, say, like advanced button. You could go in and say, okay, I want the link target to default to a new window or same window. I want to change the font size. I want to add a no follow. Maybe I want to change the button size from medium to large because that's what I prefer based on the design that we've implemented. You can go into design settings and you could set your color settings for both the normal and the hover states. You could go into icon settings, set up your icon where you want that. If you want any custom CSS classes added to your buttons, boom, here you go, right? This is a huge time saver, especially if you're handing over to a client the site and you had to do something with some custom CSS. You've got that ability right here to go in and do that. And once you have made all of these changes, you even have the typography as well, right? But you click Save and Close, and then over on the right-hand side, you'll see the little eye. And so if you go back to the advanced button, you go to the eye, what you'll see is this is the advanced button settings, and who do you want to enable these settings for? So if you go and say, I want to enable all settings for minimum user role of an admin, that means that in order to be able to set anything, they have to be an admin. But you could also go and say no users, or maybe editors or something like that, right? Something that limits most of your clients' user accounts from coming in here and making setting changes. You don't have to just do it for all. You can go to individual settings, like if you don't want your buttons to have if you don't want your buttons to be icon based or have an icon in them, you can say no users. So then when you go in here and you go to your button, you will see we have no icon option in here for us to select. Well, I have it because I'm an admin, but presumably, right, your client wouldn't have that option. So if they don't have that option, then they're not able to go in and make those settings, which makes it really super easy for you to then really gain back the control of your site, so you're not getting calls or emails or texts at all hours of the day and night saying, hey, I just made this change, I added a button to my page, and now all of a sudden I changed it to blue and everything else is all crazy and it's not green like it's supposed to be, right? Those are the types of capabilities that you have with KadenceWP, and I really like that about Kadence. I'm going to go back into my advanced button. You'll see that no users. I'm just going to go back to say all users and save it. The other thing that you might want to do when you do that, actually I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to go to no users. I'm going to go to save, and I'm just going to we're going to save this draft. We're going to reload it really quick. I just want to see if it shows up. So if I go to button settings, you will see that icon setting is now gone, meaning I don't have the ability to do it. Now I can come back in here as an admin. I still have access to the defaults. I can go back and say all users again. Go ahead and do that, reload. go back to button settings, scroll on down, and you'll see my icon settings are back. So you've got that ability to do it. I don't see many Gutenberg block collection plugins that do offer this. It's a really great feature to allow block controls to be handed over to your clients. That's something I really like. You also have your editor width, so you can change that size. You can go to large or default or small or full screen, whatever you want that editor width to be. That's this piece right in here. So that's where that's at. So that's Kadence blocks. I definitely recommend you take a look, check it out for yourself. Try using it with a site that you're thinking about designing. Take a look at all of the blocks that come with Kadence. I really highlighted the row layout. There is an advanced heading, which is really nice. You've got a few options with like a form, so you could add a form to your site, change some settings to it. Let me bring that back up. You could add some fields. You could add what do you do after an action has been formed? Do you email? Do you want to do a basic spam check? Right? There's all sorts of options in here that you can do with this form block that you don't need to install a form plugin for. So it's worth taking a look at that as well. It's a free block that's part of the Kadence blocks. So there's plenty of other options and blocks in here. If you hover over them, you will see what they do on the right. And with that, make sure, if you haven't already, click subscribe if you're visiting over on YouTube, or if you're on the blog, go over to YouTube. Click subscribe on our iThemes YouTube channel. We are putting videos up here all the time. Really love to have not only you subscribe, but also you to like our videos. It's how they get found, and we'd appreciate anything that you can do over on the YouTube side. So let us know how we're doing with these block collection plugin reviews, and we'll see you next week as we take another look at another block collection plugin. So thanks for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and make sure to get out there and start building with Gutenberg.